Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Infield Fly. Talking baseball with you as we are now moved into September, final month of the regular season in Major League Baseball. We're under 30 games to go in the regular season before we get to the playoffs. I'm Rob Fisher. I am a Cardinals fan looking forward to 2024. Keith Murphy is with us. He's a Cubs fan, and boy, here come the Cubbies.
Coming for you.
And Lang Whitaker, he's a Braves fan. They're still in first place. Gentlemen, good to have you. Another busy, exciting week of baseball as we get into this final month of the season. Couple of top stories go back, and it's weird because of everything that's happened with college football starting and with the baseball games over the weekend and everything. This feels like it happened a month ago, but it happened in the last week where fans ran on the field in Colorado to get close to Ronald Acuna Jr. It was bizarre. And those instances, especially with how close those fans got, can be very scary. Now, it turns out that was not their intent at all, but you never know what the intent is of these fans, and that was brutal.
Yeah, the weird part was the way, like, the first time I watched it, I was watching the game when it happened, and they did, whenever fans run on the field now, they don't show it on the broadcast.
Yeah.
So the announcers were like, these fans are approaching Ronald Acuna Jr., but I couldn't tell what was going on, and I had to like go on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now and find like people posted like cell phone videos that are very clear, and you can see the fans go up to him, but the security guards were wearing shorts. And when I watched it, I was like, who are these guys in the short? Are those the fans or are those the security guards? Like, you couldn't tell. And then there was like a third fan who like jumped on the field and turned around and ran back. Like, didn't come out there with the two who got to Acuna and hugged him, and Acuna went down even though like he didn't really get touched. So the whole thing was just weird and disconcerting. I mean, I guess like I see why people would want to say hello to Ronald Acuna and give him a hug, but yeah, we were, the three of us were texting about like in Chicago that time when those fans ran out there and beat up the first base coach from the White Sox, I think it was. Like, so like we've seen things happen, and I guess we're glad it wasn't worse. I always think about when I go to the Braves games in Atlanta, like every time there's a stoppage in play, like all these security people run out there and like kind of circle the field. But if it happens in the middle of a play, maybe it takes them a little longer.
Yeah, it was weird watching. I was watching as well because they were kind of describing it without describing it.
Yeah.
And then but then at one point they said, and just to be clear, Ronald Acuna is fine. And I'm like, fine? What happened? Was there an encounter? Oh my God. What do you mean he's fine?
They weren't trying to give it any air fish. That's what it was.
Right.
They didn't want to give those guys the 15 minutes that they really wanted. But we don't want a Monica Seles moment.
No, exactly.
That's the issue. Like that's nothing funny about it. I know we laugh about it, but your security's got to be pretty weak. And it's hard to secure. I get it. It's hard to secure that big of a stadium where people can just come out whenever they want to. This is not the 70s, man. This is not Morgana coming out. Like, come on, y'all need to just stop. Y'all need to chill that out, find out a certain way. And they need to be banned. I said that during our texting. They need to be banned from that stadium and from all stadiums.
Yeah, it was a weird game though too, because it felt like there was a little tension in the air because it was such a loud Braves contingent of fans at that game. So it was kind of felt tense there for a while, and then that happened. It was a weird night. But you mentioned Comiskey and what happened that night with that fight. Well, there was something that happened at Guaranteed Rate Field this week as well. There was a shooting, something else that we should not laugh about, but ultimately we are going to. There was a shooting.
We're not laughing at the shooting.
Yeah,
no,
shooting, but
shooting inside the stadium. Peggy Kaczynski tweeting out, as I reported on ESPN 1000, the shooting at Guaranteed Rate Field during the White Sox game was indeed an accidental discharge by one of the women grazed by the bullet. She reportedly snuck the gun in past metal detectors, hiding it in the folds of her belly fat. Okay, here's the question. How big do you have to be to get through the metal detector Not just to hide the gun in the folds of the fat, but to hide it so well that you get through the metal detector with the gun.
I didn't know that.
And then how does it discharge?
So does that mean fat is an effective blocker for metal detectors?
I
think that's what we've learned. Yes.
It's something in her bloodstream. I don't know what it is, but evidently that's her secret power, whatever it is, a superpower. Hiding stuff. It's like a DC or Marvel villain. I'm able to, like a Blob or something. Like, I can just put me in my
also
belly.
like of all the things you would sneak into a game, like a gun.
Like, how about some popcorn? Get some Garrett's popcorn or something.
I mean,
there's nothing in the story that says she didn't.
Some Harold's chicken wings or something. Do something, man.
She had folds. So
there were folds, multiple.
I got folds
in different area codes. I mean, affordable snack seems to be like the first thing I would bring in.
Oh my goodness. All right. A few things I learned this week. Mookie Betts is now the sexy pick for MVP. JP Morosi, who I'm a big fan of, JP Morosi, great baseball writer, broadcaster. He's fantastic. He said his pick is Mookie Betts for MVP because I'm quoting, because let's remember the word valuable in there. If it was performance, I would give it to Acuna, but because of the value of Mookie Betts, I give it to Mookie Betts. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. How can you not say that Ronald Acuna is valuable to this baseball team? And maybe you come back in that argument and just say, well, he's got Austin Riley, he's got Matt Olson, he's got Ozzie Albies, he's got Ozuna, he's got Michael Harris. I mean, you could go down the lineup and say, all those guys do. But one of the most outrageous stats for the Braves this year is what they do in the first inning. And how often this team plays with a lead in the first inning of games. And how often they play with a lead in the first inning of games because Ronald Acuna gets on base. Then he steals second. And then he goes to third. And then he scores because he is a clear catalyst of that team. And to almost say that he's not valuable to the Braves, I think is slighting Ronald Acuna.
It is. And also, okay, Mookie Betts doesn't have Freddie Freeman and Max Muncy and Kike Hernandez. I mean, you can run down Will Smith, the same list of unbelievable players on the Dodgers who have a higher payroll, by the way. But I look, I've seen all these graphics going around where they have like the stats of the two guys and they're like green. They have them lit up in green, like whoever has the more whatever, OPS, PhD, OPP, all the things that they list. And I'm like, I'll take Acuna any day. Any day.
And Mookie Betts is great. I hate to tear down Mookie Betts.
He's fine. I like him. Seems like a nice guy.
And Mookie Betts had an amazing August.
Yeah.
But let's call it what it is. He's on the MVP. He's in the MVP conversation because he had an amazing August. Acuna's done it from day one.
You know who else in August was the first player in the history of baseball to go 30-60? Ronald Acuna. Yeah.
I just think Lang, I spoke this before, and we're going to bring up Justin Steele and Smiley later for the Cy Young race. But I think your team is just a victim of its own success. On all fronts. Like whenever somebody says this person's going to win a Cy Young, is always they got great run support, or this person's going to win MVP. Oh well, look who he's surrounded by. So it happens, man. I still got Acuna as winning it because of his defense and what he does on the base pass. Now he just changes the game without even swinging a bat.
It's also like, I mean, I get that it's different now. Like I'm trying to find this tweet somebody tweeted that I responded to, and people are still tagging me in it. But some guy was saying, well, if they had bigger bases and pitch clock and all this stuff 30 years ago, Acuna wouldn't be the first one to go 30-60.
Oh man.
And I'm like, okay, but they didn't. You play the game before you.
Basically.
And he's able to do what no one's ever done before.
There's no way to quantify it, but if you told me this, if you had the same bases, Acuna would have how many stolen bases this year? I don't know, 55. I mean, what is the size of the base worth to Acuna?
Yeah,
because
and also
I don't see a lot of Acuna steals where it's this close.
Yeah, they're not a lot of bang
bases
bang
were
plays.
the old size. Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. I also think there's a argument to be made for Acuna's cultural impact on this team and the fan base, and you know, the fun he brings to this team. Like, to me, a lot of his value is unquantifiable with stats. Like, you know, I brought this up on one of the Grind City Media shows the other day, though. Like, you know, when Acuna gets a hit, he runs out there and does the too little sign. He does the LeBron celebration, the Trae Young. He does the gritty when he scores. As soon as every game ends, he turns his hat backwards and he gritties over to the other outfielders, and they all gritty together. Like, he does all these little fun things like that seem to be the kind of thing that his teammates like, and they like being around him, and they like, you know, watching him do. They got married the other day before the game because his fiance was going to have to go back without a green card. So he got married the morning of the game after flying in from Colorado. He had a wedding, and then he had a grand slam against the Dodgers that night. Like, those are the kind of little like things that add to the legend and just kind of add some sparkle and fun to the Braves season. And as a fan, like, I can't put a number on those things, but I know that Mookie Betts could go 4 for 4 tomorrow night. I don't want him. I want Ronald Acuna Jr. on my team, and I have him.
Yeah, you do. And he was terrific this week again. As the Braves swept 3 in Colorado and then won 3 of 4 at the Dodgers. Acuna became the only baseball player to have 4 hits, 4 runs, 5 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in a single game ever.
Yeah.
And a partridge in the pear tree too. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, because the bases are bigger. That's why.
Yeah.
Ozuna hit number 30, 31, and 32 this week.
You got to explain this to me, Lane.
I don't know, man.
Seriously, dude.
I don't know what's going on.
What is going on? Is that the greatest turnaround you've ever seen of a player?
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Especially because he was bad for 2 years. It wasn't like he was awful the first month of this season, but the last 2 years he was okay. But then all of a sudden, I don't know what in the world has gotten into him, but it's fantastic. Fantastic.
Fried has been awesome. Max Fried looks awesome.
Yep. He looks great.
5-0 and 7 road starts this year, and the Braves have won all 7 with an ERA under 2. He's been incredible.
He looks like Cy Young, Max Fried, and tonight Soroka's starting. He got called back up because the date has passed or whatever, where he's allowed to pitch now, and they can get another year of contract control with him. So Soroka comes back, and now we have him for the last month of the season. Maybe he's able to be an extra arm or bullpen arm or something in the postseason. So, you know, the pitching, which has been not a problem, but it's sort of been like the main thing everyone's focused on all year, is starting to stabilize and kind of build itself back up a little bit now.
Yeah, and could get well in these next 3 games.
Yeah.
Which is scary, by the way. Should be scary for the league.
Cardinals are a good prep for your pitching staff. Should be a good series. The Braves, meanwhile, reached 250 homers this season while maintaining a league-leading 276 batting average. Only one team in baseball history has finished the season with 250 or more home runs and a better batting average, the 1997 Seattle Mariners. They hit 280 and finished with 264. So Braves have that they can still shoot for, but 276, not too shabby for a team that's at 250 bombs. The Cubs, meanwhile.
By the way, you know who the Braves hitting coach is? Do you guys know who it is? It's a player we all watched like in the 80s, 90s.
Who?
Kevin Seitzer.
Wow.
Former Kansas City Royal. Remember him?
Yeah. Kevin Seitzer. Wow. Cubbies won 2 of 3 against Milwaukee. Big series there, and then a big series against Cincinnati. Split 4 with the Reds. Cody Bellinger continues to be amazing. Had a game-winning single in the finale against Milwaukee, then hit 3 bombs in the series against Cincinnati. Justin Steele, my goodness. Shut out San Francisco, 8 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts. He's now 16-3.
Where would we be without that dude? I swear, man, we'd be under 500. Right now, we're 10 games over 500, which is crazy to me, because a month ago, we were scuffling to figure out whether or not we was going to even blow the team up. So the whole still, just the whole performance was just crazy to me because I just knew that Russ was gonna like try to take him out in the 7th inning. I was like, he's gonna take him out. He's gonna take him out. And I'm glad he let him in because I just want to see more guys pitch in the 8th inning. It's not a big deal anymore, man. Just let these guys pitch. Everything about it, man. 12 strikeouts. The ERA is just ridiculous right now. The wins are ridiculous. He would even have more wins if it wasn't for the fact that they left money on the table for a lot of these games, and the run support has just been kind of lacking sometimes when he's up there. But I like what I'm seeing, man. I like what I see for the Cubs. Belly, Suzuki, like it's just crazy. It's just crazy for me to see that these guys are really coming together, and it all comes down to one person. It's Bellinger. He's the guy. Yeah, I keep saying it, but I just hope the Cubs do the right thing. I just hope they don't fumble.
He'll get MVP votes this year.
Oh, he should, because this is what he's, especially the second half of the season, he's just been like ridiculous. Like he's putting up those MVP numbers that we saw during his Dodgers years. And what I like about him is that he doesn't try to do too much. If he sees that he just needs a blooper, he gets a blooper. If he just sees that he needs a single, he gets a single. If he just needs to get on base, he needs to get on base. He's not trying to hit home runs.
How about this? Who's the comeback player of the year in the National League? Is it Bellinger or Ozuna?
Jeez.
I might have to give it to Ozuna.
Or is there somebody else? Like usually it's like a pitcher or somebody coming back.
It's those. It's got to be those two. They're going to give it to Bellinger. I think they're going to give it to Bellinger because of the name. But Ozuna on a low key, I think he should get it.
Well, and Ozuna was out a lot last year for
off-field
issues. Not related to baseball. So
I'm just saying, like, I mean, even though, but you could make a case for this season, like, as bad as he was
from the start of the year, no doubt about it. And Bellinger's he's been amazing as a Cubs. I was telling someone today, man, watching meaningful game. I love watching meaningful night games at Wrigley. I think is a really cool thing to watch.
It's nuts. And like I said, I know I brought it up and I told you we was going to speak about it, but you know, everybody's talking about Strider and still and who's going to win it. I'm just looking at Steele's ERA, and I think that's probably going to sneak him in there if he keeps gobbling up wins. I think he's going to end up winning it. If he's tied or probably second ERA, I think he's going to end up winning the Cy Young.
I think those two are
because the stats are comparable. Like the wins, they're kind of comparable what they do in terms of the strikeout rates too.
I think those two are clearly 1 and 2, and it's amazing to me again hearing from the talking heads people that like a Blake Snell is getting people's votes. He's 500. I mean, I know his ERA. His ERA is tops in the league. He also has walked more people than anybody in the league. Walked them. So yes, his record is a 500 record because he's getting himself in trouble all the time.
Dude, he's Walker Texas Ranger right now. That's all he does. Walk.
Wins still matter. Wins still matter.
I feel like this is sort of the same as the Betts Acuna thing. It's like, oh, but we have all these advanced numbers and we can point to these things and say that this guy's,
and here's the number. Here's the number that I need. When that guy goes out and toes the rubber, I know that I'm getting a win. And with Spencer Strider, that's been the case.
Yeah.
With Justin Steele, that's been the case. When that guy has the ball, we win. And that, I mean, Blake Snell, you can't say with Blake Snell, you say, well, we're going to get a good well-pitched game tonight.
Right.
But
like
not sure what's going to happen.
He'll keep us in the game.
Right.
That's what you're going to get.
These guys are going out and winning.
With Strider, you could also say, like, look, he's just got to keep the other team below like 4 runs.
But that's not the case.
Yeah.
I mean, their ERAs are good enough too. So I don't know. I think we should have votes, basically, is what I'm saying. All right, let's go around the horn. National League, the wild card is pretty wild. Good stuff there. Philadelphia is the leader in the wild card. They got a pretty secure spot. Then the Cubs are 3 games clear right now with the second wild card spot. And then you have the Diamondbacks and the Reds are tied for the final spot, although the Reds have played 2 more games than the Diamondbacks. The Marlins are just a half game back of the Diamondbacks, and then the Giants are just 1 game back of the Diamondbacks as well. So you still have 4 teams battling out for that final spot, and Cubs trying to hold on to that second spot. Phillies at the top of the wild card. They had a good week, winning 2 of 3 against the Angels. Bryce Harper hit 3 home runs in the series, hit his 300th home run, 12th active player to do that. How about it? Player? This is very specific, so pay attention. Players with 300 home runs, 1,500 hits, and a 143 OPS, and multiple MVP awards by the age of 30. Got all that?
Okay, so who you bringing up?
Mickey Mantle,
Wow.
Mike Trout,
Wow.
Albert Pujols,
Wow.
Jimmy Fox, Miguel Cabrera, Frank Robinson, Alex Rodriguez, Bryce Harper.
You know, when I was a kid, every time somebody bring up Jimmy Fox, I knew that it was a big stat. I knew nothing about Jimmy Fox. I wasn't even a speck in my old man's eyes. But whenever they're Jimmy Fox, and then I look at his stats, just ridiculous. Yeah. It's like, who's this Jimmy? Who's this Jimmy Fox? Jeez, man. That's company.
He's no Kyle Schwarber.
Schwarber hit 3 bombs, 2 leadoff homers. He's got 40. Schwarber's got 40 home runs on the season, hitting a .93.
Has he convinced you yet?
Did you see the stat? I sent you a stat this morning, Fish. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter.
I saw it.
The worst batting average in a 40 home run season in history belongs to Adam Dunn, who hit 41 home runs while batting .204 in 2012. Schwarber now has 40 home runs, and his average is 193. So he's on pace to shatter Adam Dunn's record for the worst batting average in a 40 home run season.
I'm going to bring up a couple of old names, but
that's all we do on this show.
I know, but guys who could thrive in baseball today. Phil Plantier would thrive in baseball. Dave Kingman would be hitting leadoff in baseball today. Kevin Moss may have actually had a career if he was out there. So just guys who all they did was try and hit the long ball, and it was feast or famine every time. They didn't have a spot in baseball.
Yeah.
Schwarber's got a lead. He leads off for the team that's leading the wild card race, and he's got 40 homers, which is great, but he's hitting a .93. That's amazing to me.
Have they been able to explain this? Because his career hasn't been that low of a batting average. He's had careers where he's been 250, 260. Right. So what's going on with him? Like is it just, I just know I'm going to hit home runs and that's all I care about? Like what's going on with him?
I don't know.
Maybe
I assume I think like as you get older, you stop trying to hit for average. You're just like, all right, screw it. I'm just gonna hit these home runs.
Right.
And maybe the Phillies told him, like, man, don't worry about getting on base. Just hit a home run.
Oh no, of course they told him. Lang, what are you talking about? He wouldn't even be batting first right now. Like he's leadoff. Who's got a 190 plus batting average on batting leadoff? Come on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And he's putting up numbers though. That's the thing, Fish. I know that's what you hate. You hate that part. So you could resign yourself if he was just hitting like 15 home runs and had that average. The fact that man is sitting on 40 right now is ridiculous.
It really is ridiculous. I mean, it's valuable. I guess it's more valuable than. I don't even know where you'd put him in the lineup. I mean, where's the right spot for a guy who hits 40 bombs and hits a .93? Yeah. I mean, I think what the Phillies are doing is let's let him hit as many times as possible. Put him in the leadoff spot because he hits 40 home runs. I mean, you don't want to put him down at 8th and he hits 30. Yeah, hitting a .93. I don't know. It's a weird thing to figure out. I'd rather have him not on my team and let someone else figure it out. The Miami Marlins, a half game back of the wild card spot. They swept 4 games at Washington. Jake Berger hit 3 home runs. He's got 30 now on the season. Johnny Cueto won in his return from the injured list. How about this news from the Mets this week? Max Scherzer came back with his new team, the Texas Rangers. The Mets did a tribute video for Scherzer. He was there for 3 months. They gave him a tribute video. The crowd booed.
Good for them. That's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And you saw the grin on his face. when it was happening? Because he just
Wonder-
looked like the first he knew he was going to get booed. That's the first thing.
What song did they use on the video?
I hope it wasn't a Sarah McLachlan song.
I was thinking, "I Will Remember You."
Yeah, yeah. Like it's ridiculous, man.
Titanic theme song. Remember that?
Crazy.
They should use "Crazy" by Seal. Like, there's a lot of great options they could have gone with.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso at his 40th and 41st home runs, just the 5th player in baseball history with 40 or more home runs in 3 of their first 5 seasons. National League Central, Milwaukee Brewers, they are at the top. They've won 11 of their last 14 games, and they signed Josh Donaldson to a minor league contract. Well, good luck with him. He was hitting like $140 for the New York Yankees this year.
Should have had him lead off.
Let's see. Actually, I have that number. For the Yankees, Donaldson was hitting 142 with 10 home runs, 4 singles. That's amazing.
We need a split screen between Donaldson's numbers this season and last season because it's just such opposites. This is ridiculous.
One of the worst signings the Yankees have had, and that's saying something.
Maybe they were like, "Hey, try to be like Kyle Schwarber. We don't care about getting on base. Just home runs. That's all we need.
Just hit them out. Just hit as many out of the park as you can."
Yeah.
Cincinnati, meanwhile, they split the 4 with the Cubs. They did get 2 walk-off wins in there. They also claimed Harrison Bader from the Yankees and Hunter Renfroe from the Angels, and Matt McClain put on the injured list with an oblique. But Cincinnati, they are even in that last spot with Arizona. Dodgers run away with the National League West despite losing 3 of 4 to Atlanta. Lance Lynn lost his first decision with the team. The Dodgers finished August 24-5. 24-5. But bad news.
3 of those were I guess maybe in September. I was gonna say 3 of those were Atlanta, but those probably were the beginning of September.
Yeah. Tony Gonsolin done for the season. Tommy John surgery, and also starter Julio Urias arrested and charged with felony domestic violence charges late Sunday night.
Yeah, I saw that on the ticket. That's terrible.
And he had been suspended previously for the same thing, or for violating the domestic violence policy, and he was a free agent at the end of the season anyway. So we might have seen the last of.
I mean, he's a repeat offender. He does not need to be playing anymore. That's quite simple.
The San Francisco Giants have won 2 of 3 against Cincinnati, and then they lost 3 of 4 at San Diego. Alex Cobb had a complete game 1-hitter. He had a no-hitter for 8 2/3, and then, as often happens, broken up. And was broken up. It's sad. It's sad to see that little bloop single that ends the no-hitters. He improved to 7-5, however.
I mean, you'd rather be a bloop single than somebody putting up a bunt.
Smacking one out of the park.
No, the smack. I can deal with I can deal with that too, but just don't do a bunt.
Yeah.
No. Don't bunt the ball and rush to first base and you're safe. And I would attack somebody doing something like that.
Yeah. Speaking of bunting, Lang, I don't know if you were watching the game that night, but the other night, I believe it was Michael Harris had a bunt single.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Braves do not bunt.
Yeah, what's up with that?
They had shifted, or the guy was way back, and he just dropped it down.
Yeah.
They don't bunt, but they play smart.
Man. Harris has been pretty good for you.
He was the rookie of the year last year. Yeah, he should be good. And he was bad like the first month of the season too, that he broke out of it. So
yeah, he's been amazing. Padres now are 0-11 in extra inning games. 0-11. Second worst record in extra innings in a single season in baseball history. The 1969 Expos went 0-12.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say Blake Snell, people's new MV or Cy Young guy. In his last 19 starts, he is 11-3 with a 1.31 ERA.
It's great.
But we need to count his first 8 starts where he was 1-7.
I was listening to the Braves Dodgers on the radio a lot this weekend driving back from Athens, and on Sirius I kept having to listen to the Dodger broadcast because sometimes they just put one on, and it's Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday doing the Dodger radio, but they kept talking about the magic number for the Dodgers, and they were monitoring the Padres Giants series and talking about Dodgers. The magic number is down to 11. If the Padres can lose this one, it goes to 10, and they were like very focused on it. And I was like, this seems kind of weird. Is there a chance the Dodgers aren't going to win this thing? No, right? Like why do we care about the magic number for the Dodgers? Anyway.
That's just them beating on their chest about their Dodgers. So
because the hardest thing in baseball is to win the division. So when you win the division, you need to celebrate it.
I guess.
How about
What
that?
about when you do it 15 years in a row?
Then you act like you've been there before.
Yeah. Listen. All I know is that the Cubs are 2.5 games back from the Brewers, and I thought I'd never be able to say that. So if I know everybody's talking about the wild card, but I want a little bit more. I'm greedy right now.
I know the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals are 17 back of the Brewers, but I think there's still 30 games left.
You mean there's hope?
Yeah.
There's a chance?
No, not a chance in hell. New York Yankees had lost 8 straight series played on the road. That's the team's longest road losing streak since dropping 10 straight in 1908 when they were the New York Highlanders. But Aaron Judge, fewest games to 250 home runs in history, 810 to get to 250 home runs. That beat Ryan Howard, who did it 855. So how about that? Boy, Ryan Howard was really good.
Yeah.
What's his totals, Lane? Howard?
Ryan Howard?
Did he ever get to 500?
No,
he didn't.
Let's see. I don't think so.
Because at the pace that he was going at it, because I wasn't really following.
382 home runs.
Oh wow! So injuries must have got him.
He had a couple of years there, like when in the 2012, 2013, where he only played like 70 games. He had 2 seasons where he only played like 70 and 81 games. But yeah, I mean, he only played till he was 32 years old. Wow. 36. I'm sorry, his last year, but he was 24 as a rookie. So he only played 12 years really in the majors.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah, there you go. Toronto Blue Jays, they won 4 of 6 of this week. Kevin Gausman is now 10-8 on the season. He became the 3rd pitcher in Blue Jays history to record 200 strikeouts in consecutive seasons, joining Roy Halladay and Roger Clemens. The Rays are 13-5 since Wander's been gone.
Sounds like addition by subtraction.
It might stay that way. It might stay that way too. The way the news is coming out, man, it's more girls. It's ridiculous.
Isaac Paredes hit his 27th home run of the season. Baltimore's Anthony Santander hit his 25th and 26th home runs, his 31st and 32nd doubles, and had a game-winning single in 2 of 3 against the White Sox. Pretty good weekend for them. The American League Central, Lucas Giolito was claimed by the Cleveland Guardians, and not only was he rocked when he was an Angel for a short period of time, he got hammered again. Is that Minnesota's trying to leave Cleveland hang around in this race, just kind of teasing them, and then all of a sudden they play and they score 20 on them last night. 20. And that is all but over. I liked that Cleveland went out and got a bunch of guys. They picked up 3 guys from the Angels off waiver.
Yeah.
Was rocked. They're still 6 games back of Minnesota.
I'm not sure if I was like trying to pick up guys to make my team a lot better, I'd get Angels players.
Yeah, probably not.
You know?
Probably not. White Sox named Chris Getz their new VP and GM, says that Pedro Grifol will return as the manager of the White Sox next year.
He was in-house, right? He was like, it was some guy who worked for the team already. Yeah. That Getz guy. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to clean house, man. Yeah. What are you doing?
And if it's a culture issue, maybe the manager was the problem. I mean, what are you going to do? Get rid of all the players?
Come on.
Yeah. Miguel Cabrera, surprisingly, stunningly, had 4 hits in a game on Saturday. Cabrera had to run the bases 4 times. He's got 3,158 hits now, surpassing George Brett for 17th on the all-time list. I can't believe George Brett was 17th on the all-time baseball hits list.
I thought he was even higher than that. That's crazy.
Yeah, how about that? And then the American League West, you got the race. The Seattle Mariners are in first place, tied with the Houston Astros now. The Mariners won 14 of their last 18 games. Texas, they are right behind. And the Astros are right there. Texas is just 1 game back, but the Astros, they swept 3 against Boston, but then got swept in 3 games by the Yankees, which is crazy. And Justin Verlander fell to 10-7. Framber Valdez, who also has been talked about for the Cy Young Award this year, he fell to 10-9. He's 10-9. He's the best 500 pitcher in baseball. All right. Shohei. He now has an oblique injury as well. No home runs, just 3 RBIs this week. However, his agent's saying that he will need the procedure on his elbow, which is believed to be the Tommy John surgery again. Although he's saying it's a different ligament than it was in 2018.
I was just about to say that. He didn't say, he wasn't very specific about the surgery. He's being really cagey about it. They're just saying he's going to do surgery. Like, which surgery you're going to do?
I also saw, like, on the bottom line, it said something about they were going to explore alternative options as well.
Interesting. Shohei's the 8th player in MLB history with 40 homers and 20 stolen bases in multiple seasons, by the way. John Heyman from, I believe, the New York Times, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Post, I think.
New York Post. Yeah. New York Post, John Heyman. Teams that will be in on Shohei Ohtani this offseason. Teams that will be in on Shohei Ohtani this offseason. Number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers. No surprise. San Diego Padres. Chicago Cubs. Texas Rangers. San Francisco Giants. And the Boston Red Sox.
So nobody's being chased off, basically. Nobody's scared.
Hell no.
So the agents, they're not scared that the agent's going to say, if you trade for my guy, he's got to pitch. He's got to pitch.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you do with that? He's going to want pitching money and hitting money.
Give it to him.
You give it to him, and then you set up a pitching deal where he pitches occasionally throughout the season, like when you need that, when you have a bullpen
game. Yeah, twice a month.
He can pitch those games, and then when we get to September, you're in the rotation. How about that? Now, I don't know. Now, again, that sounds like a great plan. But if Shohei Ohtani says, nope, I want to be your ace, and I want to start every 5th day, well, then you're going to pitch him and start him every 5th day.
Yeah.
It's all up to whatever Shohei wants to do. I think
agree.
At this point, which will make it very interesting. Julio Rodriguez had a 15-game hit streak snapped. He hit safely in 16 of 17. 28 hits in 10 games, most by a player in a 10-game span since Kenny Lofton in 1997. The only players with more hits in a single season 10-game span since 1901 were Lofton in 97, and in 1933, Heine Manouche, also on that list.
One of the great names.
One of my favorites.
Baseball players with at least 45 hits, 30 RBIs, 15 extra base hits, and 10 stolen bases in a single month. George Sisler of the St. Louis Browns in July of 1927, and Julio Rodriguez in August. He's been unbelievable. He was tied for 14th in hits going into August. Now going into September, he leads the American League in hits. That's how big of a month he had. He's the youngest Mariners player with a homer in 3 straight games since Ken Griffey Jr. in 1991, and he was the American League Player of the Month. Congratulations to J-Rod. 3 years ago, I went on the the Grizzlies caravan, the Memphis Grizzlies caravan in Little Rock, Arkansas, to go to a Travelers game, and Julio Rodriguez was playing for the Travelers that game. Got our picture with Julio, selfie with Julio, and he was just different. He was a cool dude, and I was telling you all about him then, and now he's become the superstar that he is. Well, this Saturday, I'm going back to Little Rock to throw out the first pitch in the Grizzlies caravan again. Shout out Little Rock. I'll be there on Saturday. I'm throwing out the first pitch, and it's Julio Rodriguez bobblehead night. And I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. I just need video of the pitch.
You'll get it.
That's all I want. And
I'm going for a third strike. Right now, this is my third pitch, and I got 2 strikes so far.
Don't muff it, man. Don't muff it.
It'll be good. Meanwhile, it's really easy right now, betting against the Cardinals. And the Cardinals have the Braves these next 3 games. And by the way, we didn't even talk about the Cardinals, and I skipped right over them because, why would we? But I did want to mention this. Adam Wainwright last week took on the Padres and took on Blake Snell. And Waino went 6 innings, gave up just 1 run, but the Cardinals lost the game. Wainwright is still stuck 198 wins. He was supposed to start Sunday against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates, right? At Busch Stadium. against the Pirates. Waino, hopefully get 199. They moved that start back. So to give him a couple of extra days. So instead, he will pitch this Thursday against Max Fried in the Braves.
He's probably going to win. Watch that'll be the game. Like, cause it's also the third game of the series for the Braves. And whenever they get to that, if they win the first two, that third game, they always seem to tank or just not play well or whatever. Like that's probably the game he wins.
That lineup against Waino.
Yeah. I was going to say he might
not expecting big things.
The Braves they play Friday. They have a homestand. So I was like, maybe they'll like sit some of the guys that day. But even if he does that, I don't know if it makes that much difference. We'll see.
No, it really doesn't.
So you're saying take the over.
Take the over.
Yeah.
I'm 14-5. My last 19 bets on the Cardinals games. I'm 73-64 now on the season betting Cardinals games. 73-64. That puts me 14 games up on the Cardinals themselves. So
Fish. At this point, I think we need theme music for this segment.
For my Cardinal betting segment.
Like the Who's, like you bet, like just something like
the OJ's money, something like
that.
OJ,
yeah, that'd be
something, dude.
All right, we'll work on that for next week. Cardinals are in Atlanta, and then they go to Cincinnati this weekend for 3. Braves in St. Louis are hosting St. Louis, and then they'll host Pittsburgh for 3 as well. The Cubs, they got San Francisco for 3, winning the first game. And now taking on Arizona this weekend for 4 against the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks team that is in need of victories, so that'll be a difficult series. Houston's at Texas. Houston won the first matchup 13-6. Seattle's in Cincinnati. The Reds won the opener in that one. Minnesota's at Cleveland. Minnesota won the first matchup 20-6 yesterday. Dodgers are in Miami for 3, and then this weekend you got Seattle at Tampa for 4, and Miami in Philadelphia for 3. So busy week in Major League Baseball. The wild cards are heating up as we now head into September. We're under 30 games to play for the rest of the season. The awards are getting close. The postseason's getting close. Every game is meaningful at Wrigley Field right now, Murph.
Yeah, I mean, it is. The fans are going to be great. I don't like the fact that it's very bottom heavy right now with these tough teams that we're facing at the most inopportune time, man. Everybody's talking about how the Giants are sliding. I don't buy it, man. I think it's going to be tough.
And I don't know how
it's going to be tough.
And I don't know how the Giants are good because I watched them and they are a very nondescript, no name, just kind of bunch of guys that just play well.
Yeah, that's what it is. They just play well and they keep hitting and. They're like little gnats, man. They're like little gnats that just keep coming at you.
Yeah, Kapler peacocking around in the dugout. I also looked, just because we were talking about it, I looked up, I hadn't even thought about it, what the Braves magic number would be. To win the division 12, to clinch playoffs 7. So there's a chance they clinch playoffs this week. But if they can win 22 games between now and the end of the year, they clinch home field throughout. I guess they don't have to win 22. They just have to. Everyone else has to.
Magic
lose
numbers
also.
22 for that. Yeah,
22 for the Braves for home field throughout the postseason.
All right.
You know, it's cool though. Before we log off, guys, after the news of the sad passing of Jimmy Buffett, they showed the video of Buffett at Wrigley Field singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." He had Harry's glasses on, he says all the right things. That everybody seems to love that dude, like it's just funny, like people talking about him, and it's from different demographics or different people, like Paul McCartney. Like,
I saw this tribute on Twitter from Paul McCartney to him, and there's this long, well-written thing about what a great guy he was.
Very heartfelt, like very.
I was amazed. Too. I was like, oh, and I'm not a fan of Jimmy Buffett's music, really.
Yeah,
but.
When you see that, it kind of gives a little perspective of.
Yeah, he meant a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
I also I brought this up. We don't have to get in this conversation on the morning show here a couple of weeks ago. I had been in Florida, and I came back and I was like, the thing about Jimmy Buffett was he had that song "Come Monday" that was like a pop song that was good, and then he kind of found his lane, right? He figured out the Gulf and Western, they call it, right? So it's like this kind of weird mix of Caribbean / country / I don't know, beach music thing. And he found that and he leaned into it, right? He started doing Margaritaville and changes in latitude, all these different songs.
Cheeseburgers,
All that stuff. And then the restaurants and all that. And so I told them on the morning show, we need to come up with our own thing, right? Like, because Jimmy Buffett was a billionaire when he died.
Yeah.
Like he went from Jimmy Buffett to Warren Buffett. Like, we got to figure out some way for, like, we got to figure out what's next for us. Maybe we can work on that on the next show, but we got to come up with our thing and lean into it.
Whatever that is.
All right. Well, we'll work on that for the next
Cardinals betting themed music career. I don't know. Something.
Yeah, man, we could make a lot of money betting the Cardinals right now, or against them, actually. But all right, that's going to do it for this edition of Infield Fly. Thanks for joining us here today. For Murph, for Lang, I'm Fish. We will talk to you again next week and talk some baseball with you on Infield Fly here on Grind City Media.